Hi and welcome back to my channel, and if it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Simone. Today I'm going to do a video on importance of privacy in labour. This video might be quite long and I apologise in advance if it is. I'm really passionate about childbirth and hopefully helping other women to have a really nice birthing experience. What compelled me to want to make these types of videos is I had a really traumatic labour with my first baby, which ended in an emergency C-section. Then I studied for a long time to try to overcome the fear of labour, and it was my desire to have an unmedicated home birth with my second baby, which I went on to have. And then I had a third baby 9 months ago, and I had a water birth in hospital. So I am on a mission, like I said, to just share the resources that I have found just to help anybody out there. So if you do like these types of videos and you've got any suggestions of any videos that you'd like me to make in the future on these topics, then please leave a comment down below. But I will put information in the description box of the studies that I've been reading and useful videos of ones that I've made before, or any other types of videos that I've found, and I will put links above and at the end as well. And I've also got my birthing videos if you want to check them out. But I will crack on now. So this article here is by a Professor Lothian. So I've just got my notes here, that's why I'm looking down. So she talks about in nature, when animals feel threatened or disturbed, a stress hormone shuts down the labour or slows it down. And what she says is that this can happen in women's cases as well. So you might have seen it before in documentaries, or you may have experienced it yourself like I have, where you're in your own environment, contractions are coming regularly, and then you go to the hospital and then they slow down and you're sent home. Or you might be checked, you see how much dilated you are, and then that can slow it down. Or there's a whole heap of different things that can slow down the labour or can stop it. So she said that this can happen, this stress hormone can be released when a woman doesn't feel safe or protected, or when labour is altered through inductions and intervention. It changes the hormones and it can slow it or stop it down. So if you are being induced, or you are having certain interventions, or they might be wanting to take blood or take your blood pressure and things like that, it can just affect the whole labour. And I have experienced this, like I said, with my first birth. All these observations that they want to do when you come in, I know it's all protocol, but say like with my last birth, I said to them, unless there's a medical necessity, can I decline those things? One consultant was like, no, you have to have them, but another one said, it's not a problem. If we need to fit a cannula, then we can fit that in no time. It can be on standby. You can just go into the labouring room and you can have the lights low, have your music on or whatever it is, and you can have minimal interference. So if you have that, it can just keep them hormones flowing, not the stress hormones, but the hormones, the oxytocin, just to keep them contractions coming strong. If you're constantly being interrupted all the time and asked questions, it can really affect your labour. So she states it's important to respect the woman's privacy from unnecessary interventions, and if a woman is provided privacy and a place where she feels safe, it can allow women to trust their bodies and birth normally. She states research supports the value of continuous emotional or physical support, but she wonders if we can learn from animals' apparent need for seclusion in labour. So in my case, I laboured pretty much on my own at home. The midwives came and I just shut myself in the bathroom, and close to the end, when they must have heard that I'd gone through the transitional stage. If you don't know what that is, I'll link that video above what I made the other week. And then they suggested that I'm examined, and then they saw that I was near enough fully dilated, and then to change position, and then I gave birth. So a lot of the time, like you see these documentaries and there's bright lights and the woman's on the bed and everybody's all around her and she's got the the monitoring on her stomach and everything else, it can all affect, like I said, them hormones and really slow down labour. So it's like animals when they take themselves off into a corner and they're undisturbed, it can make a big difference in labour and really speed it up when you are able to do that. She cites Michael Oden's work, and that he states that labour is an involuntary process, and an involuntary process cannot be helped. The point is not to disturb it. So when you get some healthcare professionals, say if there's no medical necessity, but they're saying, look, you've been in labour for X amount of hours now, maybe we could give you this drug, or we could give you a stretch and sweep, or pop the waters is another one. If everything's fine and there's no medical necessity, why do they want to force it to make it go quicker? Do you know what I mean? It's like it feels like you're on a timer and you need to get the baby out by this time, but babies come when they want to. And like I said, if the baby's heart rate is fine, you're fine, you're feeling fine, what is the need to rush the labour? She says here, so basically in an uncomplicated pregnancy, when the woman goes into labour, unless there's some obvious problem, a woman should be left to labour. She states the more we can learn about normal physiological birth, the more respectful we can become. And she goes on to say it is only the beginning stage of us understanding that hormones play a pivotal role in labour and birth, and all of this demonstrates the importance of not disturbing the process of labour and birth. When a woman is frightened in early labour in the hospital, the unknown or pain, it can release stress hormones that stop the labour, and then the labour fails to progress. And I bet you've heard that before, and then maybe it might lead to a C-section, for example. Contractions can become very strong and difficult to handle, or also can become weaker, typically, therefore becoming ineffective. In the wild, if an animal feels in danger, a hormone is released and it can temporarily shut down the labour, and this can happen with women as well, and this is to protect the animal and the young. And then when it's almost ready to give birth, on the other hand, there's a hormone, and that can cause a different result, and it's called a fetal ejection reflex. If it's in the wild, the animal has to get the baby out quickly because maybe there's like a predator or something like that, so then the labour will just speed up, and then the baby is delivered quickly, and then it allows the mother to move like quickly away with the young. She cites a study of a guy called Niles Newton and with mice, and how the mice's contractions slowed down with not enough privacy in early labour. Later in labour, the fetal ejection did not occur either. In both cases, nature responded to threats, whether potential or real, and protected the mother. He likens similarities with making love and also breastfeeding. Each has hormones which facilitate the process. All are easily disturbed. We, like mammals, need to feel safe and protected to give birth easily. If we don't, it can impact labour and shut it down. And Auden explains that if the environment is right in the second stage of labour and there's no pitocin or any drugs or anything like that, then it is possible to have the fetal ejection reflex. If these things are used like drugs, then it won't occur. I have experienced that with both labours of fetal ejection reflex, and I'd read about it and I thought, you know what, it would be so amazing to be able to get the conditions right to be able to experience that. And the only thing that I can liken it to is you can't stop it, and you don't need to push. I know that sounds weird, but it's literally your uterus is just contracting and you're breathing through, and the baby just, it's like the uterus pushes the baby down and delivers the baby without you having to push. That's what I experienced. women choosing to give birth in hospital because they believe that it's safer, but obviously some studies, and I think the NHS guidelines say that if the birth is uncomplicated, it's just as safe to give birth at home as it is to give birth in a hospital. So that's the UK NHS guidelines, and I will link that information down below as well. Because of all the intrusions and the machines and strangers and not much privacy and medical people in hospital, the fear can grow, and then the stress hormones released, and then sends a woman into a state of fight or flight mode. And on an intellectual level, a woman may feel safe in a hospital, but her body acts differently no matter what her mind says. Her body responds on a primal intuitive level, dramatically changing and altering the process of labour and birth. This is what I experienced even with my last birth, even though I'd had a really rough experience in a hospital with the first birth. With the second birth, I obviously had a home birth, but with the third one, going into hospital, even though I thought I'd overcome the fear of giving birth in hospital because I'd had a natural birth before, my rational side of my brain was like, you're fine, everything's alright, and the heartbeat's fine and everything, but my body was reacting differently, and I really think that's why my labour was so long in hospital. It was like 20 something hours, whereas my home birth was like 6 hours, because I just felt so much more calmer at home. But it's like my body automatically tenses up when I'm in that hospital environment. In choosing the modern day way of giving birth in a hospital, women are stressed and psychologically, and it makes labour and birth more difficult. And she goes on to state that the high C-section rate can be in part due to women's inherent need to not be disturbed in the typical hospital environment, routine use of epidurals, higher rates of incidences of instrument deliveries and augmentation of labour in the USA. If a woman has privacy information filtered, intrusions kept to a minimum, supported, protected, a woman can let go of fear even in a busy maternity hospital. But if she feels pressured, like the clock is ticking, evaluated, observed, bright lights, etc., it can cause issues. Privacy, she says, doesn't have to be alone, just protected, supported. She says women need to know that women giving birth outside of the hospital often progress more easily. So I'm sorry that I was looking down a lot while I was reading that, but I really wanted to make sure that I covered all of the information, and for me to memorise all that and speak to you, it would have been really difficult, and I really didn't want to miss anything off. But obviously if you want to read the information from this study, then I will link it down below. But I just really feel like it gives a lot of food for thought, and if you are ever thinking of, having a baby, or you're preparing for giving birth, then I really hope that it can help you to see that privacy is really, really important, and hopefully the information will help you in planning for your birth preferences or when you're speaking to your healthcare providers. So I hope you liked this video, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up, and if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you like the content, and so you're notified when I make new videos. If you click the little bell icon next to the subscribe button, then when I upload you'll be notified of my new videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.